Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Metzler, one of the programmers here at the Green Film Festival of San Francisco. You've just had a chance to see the really wonderful film Cat City, and we're lucky enough to have director Ben Kolak here and producer Kyra Mitchell. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hey, excited to be here at the Green Festival.
Most definitely. We kind of try to treat green stories a little bit differently as part of our festival, and it was really neat to kind of run across your guys' film. Um, Can you kind of start off by telling us a little bit about like what inspired you to kind of like know that this was a story you wanted to tell?
Yeah, I've long been obsessed with Chicago's alleys. I made another film in 2010 called Scrappers. And so I've always been looking for another story set there. And Around 2018, a couple things converged. One of my colleagues had a kitten problem in her alley, and my building had a rabbit problem in the garden. And there was a colony caretaker in my building, and so somebody asked, "Oh, should we get a cat colony to deal with the rabbits?" And she said, "No, then we'll have a rabbit and a cat problem." And so that just got me thinking, what is going on with this, and led into a rabbit hole that we came out of 5, 6 years later with this film.
Nice. And when you guys were kind of starting, like, how did you figure out who you wanted to talk to, and like how did you kind of start piecing the story together? Like, was this something that kind of came together in the editing room, or did you know the story you wanted to tell when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
started?
yeah, yeah. I first reached out to an organization, Treehouse Humane Society, that's featured a bit in the film, and through them got introduced to some of the colony caretakers that are in the film, and to other people that practice TNR, like Autumn, Castle Blackpaw, and the folks with Cats in Action. So yeah, that was definitely the initial in route, and they were really excited about our approach, where it is about cats, but really it's so much more about communities and how larger issues in our city play out over the cats.
And as you guys were kind of telling the story, was there anything that surprised either of you, that you just didn't expect at all?
For me, Ben started this project in 2019, and I came on it in 2021. So it was always seeing cats in my neighborhood was always something that I saw, but I didn't know that there is this Cook County ordinance that was protecting them. So I believe like the entire process of having cat colony caretakers and these organizations that are sponsors, and just this whole ecosystem of this this ordinance was a surprise for me in totality, because I didn't know it exists until I started working on this project, but it was something that I was surrounded by, but just didn't know.
Yeah.
And like, oh, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, the project I made before this was about criminal justice reform, and so part of the interest in this was thinking that it might be something a little, I guess, yeah, like lighter.
Yeah.
And I encountered the opposite. That just the weight and drama and the passion of folks involved in this area is, really astounding. And yeah, as it should be. Both animals, how we care about animals, how we think about them. It says so much about who we are, and it matters.
Most definitely. Since you guys have finished up the film, are there any kind of like epilogues or how have things kind of continued to develop since finishing the film?
I think that that's always the question that we get, is like, okay, so what's the result? And there really isn't one, just because of the quality of the work is very hard, like counting animals, and having people from different animal issues come together and kind of come to a consensus. It's hard to do that. So a lot of people are like, well, what's the outcome? And we really don't have one. It was kind of just us kind of presenting the information to kind of bring awareness to this animal issue.
Yeah, yeah. Certainly, we're in touch with most of the subjects in the film. caring
Yeah.
for colonies, doing their practice. There hasn't been any substantial changes as far as we know with the ordinance in Chicago. Some of the things we didn't get into in the film is kind of the impact the ordinance from Chicago has had in other parts of the country. Minneapolis, for example, has a very similar ordinance, kind of modeled on Chicago. I'm not sure how it's played out there. Haven't had a chance yet to speak with practitioners there. There's a really insightful article about Los Angeles that perhaps it has a bias. It was written by a birder and kind of a well-known author, Jonathan Franzen, and he gets into just kind of how it plays out there, where they don't have an ordinance, but there's a lot of people practicing it, and the kind of fights that break out in a similar way to Chicago. So I would definitely direct people to that article if they want to see it, a similar treatment in another urban area.
And where did you guys fall on the whole, cat dog fence? When you started, I mean, are you both kind of cat people? Or was it just that kind of that idea of the community?
I part of me, as far as journalistic objectivity, don't want to admit, but at the same time, I feel like documentary filmmakers are kind of cousins to journalists, where we'll wear that hat in some ways and then also have different positionality in other ways. So yeah, we both have dogs. I grew up with cats and have lived with cats, and certainly have come to understand them and appreciate them so much more through this film. Certainly birding and the work of people involved in conservation too. So yeah, I mean, I really feel like it's changed my whole way of looking at the city and nature.
Cool. And when we kind of walk out of the theater, I think the thing that's really great about your guys' film is that it's just going to generate lots of conversation, right? In the sense that it makes us kind of consider things from many different perspectives. Is there something it doesn't feel like an advocacy film, for good, but is there things that we can continue to do, I guess, that might help improve the situation, or that you as filmmakers just personally would be like, well, this is what I'd love the audience to kind of take away?
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind for me is to support people involved in TNR and in caring for the cat populations in your area. Every part of the country has people involved in this. It's a problem everywhere, and there's nowhere where they have enough resources. So whether it's your time, your money, whatnot, I think that's really something you can do. Certainly, if you're passionate that cats shouldn't be outside, bring them inside and get involved in conservation. So yeah, I think that would certainly be it. There's no clear solutions, but it's a really meaningful way to be involved in our environment.
Most definitely. What's the best way to kind of continue to follow your guys' work, or even kind of help spread word about the film?
You can go on our website, cat-city.org. That's where you'll find a lot of information about the film. We're streaming on Amazon today. That's really exciting. And also on Canopy and Vimeo, you can find Cat City. And then we also do our work for hire work. We also work with other organizations, nonprofits, journalists, and that's at truthanddocumentary.org.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Ben and Kyra. Really appreciate you being part of the festival, and have a great day.
Thanks. It's such an honor to get to present the work here, and it's such an exciting festival. We're excited to check out all the other films as well.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you. Take care.